And we are live. JT here. Welcome to the huddle. The huddle is where I sit down with successful people from the world of sport and coaching. It's to learn more about their journey to greatness. Why do I have these conversations? Because success always leaves clues. I want to take a moment to thank you, whether you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, or whether you're listening to the audio on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me and my special guest today. And here's my friendly reminder to you. The mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's wide open. So my challenge to you is to go all in on this conversation, to remove any distractions and get laser focused in the here and the now. And I guarantee you, you will gain a valuable nugget of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. I've been looking forward to my conversation with my special guest today. We had the opportunity to meet last summer at a Football Ontario event, and there was something when we met. There was just, again, there's a certain energy, there's a certain enthusiasm that he had, that he embodied, that he shared with me. And I just thought, ooh, this is interesting. I want to learn more about his journey to greatness. My guest in the huddle today is currently serving as the VP of Sales and Marketing with Area 51 Sports. My guest in the huddle today is Jim Cooper. How are you today, brother?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely, brother. Before we get kicked off, pun intended, I just want to take a moment to count my blessings. For me, this is a daily practice. Some days I do it better than others. But I do find the days where I'm most intentional with counting my blessings. I do find life is filled with a little bit more love, a little bit more joy and peace. And I'm a big believer that the biggest blessing you can give anyone is your time and energy. So I just want to thank you again for blessing me with some of your time and energy today here, brother.
I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. So one of the first things I'd like to do in the huddle is to remind others that life is a game and games are supposed to be fun. So I'm curious, what's an interesting fact? I had a coaching colleague and a good friend that said, we all have these things that make us unique and different, so celebrate them. So I'm curious, what's an interesting fact that maybe a lot of people don't know about you that you'd be open to sharing with our community today?
An interesting fact about me that not a lot of people know. Okay, I'm going to go back to my high school days, and 3 days before I was to play in my very first high school football game, I was hit by a motorcycle. I was crossing the street right in front of the school. Maybe was a little preoccupied with conversation that was going on and car that was maybe coming a little too close. I don't remember. I have permanent amnesia of the situation, but took a step back into an oncoming Kawasaki Ninja, and thus ended that year of football for me. Life hands you what you are supposed to be able to handle. That could have changed things for me dramatically in terms of whether I decided to continue down the path of, sports being a big part of my life, or just saying, you know what, I don't like this pain. I'm just gonna go down another route, and just be Jim, and get a job, work. Fortunately, my brain told me I wasn't done, and after that, I was very fortunate that football has played a large part of my life ever since. Going through and having success at the high school level, the university level, and then being able and fortunate enough to spend 5 years traveling around the the CFL as a CFL football player and young Canadian. And then having, having gotten into coaching after that, being at some board levels, and as we were talking offline there, now I get the opportunity to talk football every day as a part of my business as well. So not a lot of people know that about my past. It's one of those things. I have a permanent reminder on a daily basis, because one of my ears is not quite like the other, but it's something that could have changed my trajectory greatly should I have chosen a different path.
And I appreciate you sharing and sharing, something near and dear to your heart. I'm curious, as you were sharing, one thing I really heard from you was, again, this idea of like perseverance, right? The resilience, and you've been around this beautiful game at, as a high quality athlete, as a high quality coach, for many years. So I'm curious beyond the idea of perseverance, persistence, right? That resilience. What would you say has been the biggest life lesson you've taken from sport? Again, I know there's many, but what has been that one constant life lesson that you still find yourself applying to your life today?
Accountability. That one's easy. I was an offensive lineman. So if I wasn't accountable to my job and the other guys that were there with me on the line, our running backs wouldn't have success. Our quarterbacks wouldn't have success. And fast forward to today, if I'm not accountable to my family, I bills don't get paid. It's just a thing that you learn through sport, and it's not just in football. It's any sport really, because not only do team sports make you accountable to those around you, but those individual sports as well. You're not just out there on your own. So sport in general makes you learn that there are so many other people that attribute to your success, but then you also attribute to theirs. And it's that ability to understand and work as a unit that can bring a lot of success to not only sport but to your life.
I love that, and I love the simplicity of that. And I love that you shared this idea of like accountability, right? I like in sport, anyone that's ever been on a powerful team understands, the importance of, playing for something bigger than yourself, whether you as an offensive lineman, whether it was taking pride in doing your job. So it created, running lanes for the running back, or giving time for the quarterback to, step back and throw the football. And it's interesting that, beyond the accountability, I always find it's that ability to, say you're going to do something, but then actually follow up with the action, right? And building that trust muscle with yourself, with your teammates. So I'm curious, how important has that been for you as you went along your journey? The ability to, again, play something for bigger than yourself, and the ability to, hey, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm going to follow through with focused action.
Well, it's that's kind of the whole premise on life is that, and how we're judged as people is holding up to what we say we're going to do. Are we all perfect and 100% true to everything we say? No, because we're human. And everybody deserves a little bit of leeway, here and there. But, are we generally, doing what we're going to say? And, I try to, especially, in my coaching side of things, when I'm leading and teaching and coaching young men, the ability to get up, stand up, and do and and do what you say you're going to do. Hopefully, and it doesn't always have to be big things. The ability to show up on time, the ability to, put something together in a practice plan to, if you say you're going to help and develop an athlete to get from point A to point B, you have to have a plan to do that. So does your plan execute on what you've said? And if we can show that to, and be in an accountability fashion to the people that we're trying to lead, I think that helps us bring the next generation along to be as accountable, better people than us, always passing along things to the next generation so that they can be successful in their lives too.
I love that reminder, which which you were sharing, that idea of like, yes, we all have goals. We all aspire to follow through, right? 100% of the time. But it's also understanding that life is filled with ebbs and flows, and being able to give others and ourselves a little bit of patience, a little bit of understanding that you're not going to get it right 100% of the time. It's a really important, it's a simple life skill, but again, one that's very freeing. So
Well,
I'm curious. Sorry, go ahead.
I truly believe, JT, that and there's so many sports quotations out there around the idea that, what, it's okay to fail as long as you learn something from it. Mm-hmm. And so if you can kind of match the two ideas that, what, and like we talked about being human, not like we're going to fail as people, but as long as we're given a little bit of leeway and a lesson is learned from it, then we're going to be better as humans coming out on the other side.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, one thing that's been unique about your journey, as we were talking before we went live, was, again, you're a high quality athlete, and you had the opportunity to play at the highest level. And then, you transitioned into coaching, and then you've also developed and gained this wealth of experience in business and in sales. So I'm curious, what inspired you to embark with Area 51 at this next phase of your journey?
Well, it's kind of a situation where things just came together at the right time. And maybe it's the fact that it was the universe telling me that, okay, this is where you're meant to be. But I like we talked, I've been part of a few large organizations that have given me a wealth of tools and skills to be able to now bring into Area 51. But life is funny how it happens, right? And the sports industry as a whole, we learned how delicate it is when the pandemic broke, because not only myself, but there were a lot of other people in the same position within the sporting world that had employment change for them. When the world pressed pause on sports for pretty much 2 years, there was a big lack of need for a lot of things that a sporting goods company or a sports recognition company or what have you had need for. Therein lied the surplus of people working in those industries that weren't able to do their jobs, and as such, they had to take a pause too. So I, along with countless thousands of other people, had the pause button pushed, and you know, went searching for the next opportunity. Had one come available that really didn't quite pan out, and very fortunate that now looking back, very fortunate that it didn't, because 3 days late, like, and it's funny, you know as well as I do that this football world isn't really that big in the grand scheme of things. So I had met Carlo a number of years ago when I first kind of moved back to Ontario from BC after my football playing career was done. And you know, Carlo was coaching with the Toronto Junior Argos, and I was coaching with the Peterborough Wolverines. And we ended up playing off one afternoon, and things got a little ugly. And as you know, he is a coach and me as a coach, and we're, you know, that's how we kind of first interacted with each other so many years ago. So we've known each other for so long, and finally came the opportunity where we would see each other at different events and reconnect here and there. And all of a sudden Carlos like, we got to get you involved with Area 51. And it finally came that the opportunity was right from their side, the opportunity was right from my side, and I haven't gone to work a day since.
I love that. Again, as you were sharing, you know, one of those themes that really came out was like the reminder that life's all divine timing, right? Like things happen exactly when they're supposed to, no sooner, no later. And I always find that it's a great reminder, especially for us, you know, high quality coaches, because sometimes we want to, we think that, you know, control, like I think we have this illusion of a lot more control than we actually have. And I love the fact of, like you shared, that every experience into your life up to that point had prepared you for what you're doing now, right? All of these relationships, all of this, you know, understanding of, you know, the game, from a coaching, from, you know, equipment to, you know, just everything has come together to what you're doing now.
Yeah, it's like I said, I haven't been to work a day since I started with Area 51, and it really is true, because when you love the sport and then you get to know it from all levels, you know, then now it's just kind of fitting what we can do to the needs that we know our customers have. And when, like I tell people, when service, people, and price come into a line, that's when good business lasts.
So it sounds, it's, you know, a great reminder of that Woody Hayes book that, you know, you win with people, right? What have you seen, right? Again, for me,
I will let you have a Woody Hayes quote.
How important is it, right? Like, how important is it to relationships? Because I think sometimes, again, you put people that, you know, high quality athletes, high quality coaches, you know, they have big ambitions, they have big desires, they want to be the best. How have you found like the importance of being able to balance that, but understanding at the end of the day, it's a game and we're playing, you know, we really have to foster this idea of like being great people first.
Yeah, I truly believe that people like doing business with people they like. And we're seeing a trend now where people want to get, there's two sides of sales business happening right now. One is the Amazon side of things, where people want to be 100% transactional, and they want what they want now, and they can get it. But that only works for certain things. The other side of it is that people want an experience with whom they're doing business with. Well, from our perspective, that experience is us, right? So if we're not putting our best foot forward during every meeting we have, we're not putting out the best experience for our customer. The fact that the three of us all have playing, coaching, organizational level experience allows us to walk the talk. So, and that puts us in a very different playing field than some of the people we do business against, because especially from a football perspective, it's hard to find an organization that has 3 football people working the whole business. And when you come from that point, I don't think there's an organization that better understands the football business than we do.
So it's interesting. It sounds like it's, football equipment, football apparel, that's kind of what, you're selling, but really you're in the relationship business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're in the business of when people interact with you, you do your best to leave them with the impression of increase, that they feel like they've gained more in use value than the sort of the cash value exchange.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're not just that transactional business, right? We feel that from a business side of things, we've aligned ourselves properly with our suppliers, but and now we can take our football experience and knowing what's involved and be able to effectively be that product expert, because we've used it, we've worn it, we've had to fit it. We know what works well from a, if we're talking, uniforms and jerseys, we know what works well and what the pain points are in a jersey. So, when we look at designing and building our own, 5-1 brand of lineup of football uniforms, they're going to be very well built because we know where the pain points are in jerseys. Is there going to be a little trial and error at the beginning? Absolutely. But all those growth pains Under Armour went through, Nike went through, Adidas went through. They just had a bigger name and deeper pockets to start out with.
Yeah. And I love that. I love how you acknowledge the fact that, hey, like any growth, right? Whether it's, during a football season, whether it's the start of a new relationship, whether it's starting a new business, there's always going to be these growth pains, these ebbs and flows. And again, this is where it's important that regardless, it's reminding yourself that to practice some patience and understanding with others and self, and that's what allows you to move forward. So I love that, again, how everything's coming full circle.
They do, it's just the way things work and things. Hey, you know what? If people were so hard on others, Phil Knight would never have gotten away from using the waffle iron to make his shoe bases. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you were mentioning that since you've been on this journey, there has been a period of exponential growth. Like I've seen it in terms of just how things are scaling, right? Just the demand, people are becoming more aware of what you have to offer. What has that been like? And I would be curious, like, is it similar to what it's like the start of a football season with kind of like the ebbs and flows of a season? Yeah, I would really love to know, what has it been like in your journey with Area 51, being in a
Yeah,
huge opportunity of growth?
you know, it's it's very much like chasing a championship, right? You get on that roll where things, it, I liken it to, getting an expansion franchise. Things at the beginning. Let's put the Golden Knights aside because they did it in, well, let's not. I'm gonna say let's not, because that's what I want to be. And that's where we want to be as a company. We don't want to toil at the very beginning for long. We want to get on a roll, get good at what we do, and then just knock it out of the park consistently. How do we do that? We find the best products that we can get. We're aligned with various suppliers from across the globe that allow us to fit what our customers need in any price point, from non-branded stuff to our own 5-1 brand to our suppliers with Under Armour. We can fit that need there from a clothing, apparel, and uniform standpoint. From an equipment standpoint, we're aligning ourselves with who we truly believe are the best manufacturers and safest manufacturers of equipment out there. What that has allowed us to do is have those conversations to start that growth trend, because we can come in, provide that level of expert knowledge behind it, have those conversations with coaches, boards, organizations, to say, look, we know what you're trying to achieve. Here's what we can do. Does this work for you? Because we don't want to come in and be that company that just tells people what they need. We want to be able to be advisors and then fit need. We know that if we're able to do that, we're going to build a relationship. And like we talked earlier, relationship is our business. Once we have that relationship built, we're going to work our butts off to keep that relationship strong, healthy, and moving forward, so that we never lose that relationship. And then, like I said, then we just have fun and go to work every day.
Love that. I love your process. Like, you can kind of see like the mental process working through. And one thing that really sort of caught my ear was this idea of, you talked about like your job is to be that specialized knowledge, right? Like, again, it's been gained through years and decades of lived experience as a high quality athlete, high quality coach, and just seeing it through a lot of different lenses.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that when coaching, to see yourself as like someone who can advise, someone who can guide? Because I know and the reason I ask that is from my own experience. I know when I first started coaching, I was like, okay, these are the best drills. And you kind of you're more like pontificating, right? Where as you get older, at least I have found that I look at myself, position myself more as a guide. And my job is to kind of just help sort of walk alongside of you and support. So yeah, I'd be curious on your perspective on, the idea of like a coach or leader being an advisor, a guide.
Yeah. And I think as we all kind of mature through life and through the coaching cycle, right? And I was much like you when I came out of my playing days. I was full of I knows. right? Because I had just come out of playing at the absolute highest level in this country. So I got started into coaching, and still kind of that aggressive style. And over the course of the last 20 years, my coaching style has changed dramatically to being that mentor, that developer, that guide, where, and I think it comes from the fact that as we return back to our roots, and the getting involved with coaching young athletes, you're not dealing with the 0.5%. You're dealing with a lot of different people, and the more you learn about who those people are, what drives them, you mature in your coaching ways, because now you can adapt so much quicker to being able to tell this athlete over here one thing one way, and the same thing but differently over here, because this athlete responds to so many different types of cues, that you now have to be that kind of calmer teacher, and it but that also allows, it's kind of funny how that transition happens, because if you actually notice, that's the transition that starts you out from position coach all the way through to coordinator, head coach types of situations, because you're now able to handle all of those, not only the players, because now you've got more players to kind of interact with and guide, but you're also guiding the coaches and helping them through their journey. So that's how I see it.
I love that. And again, as you were sharing, it sort of reminded me that, again, it's giving ourselves some grace and patience and understanding that as you walk this journey of life, you're gonna gain valuable lived experience, and you're gonna gain some wisdom. And it was interesting that as you were sharing there, it just reminded me that, great coaches, great leaders, they see themselves as a guide, like you said, like they understand that certain, people they're leading need this, certain others needed this. And that's the idea of like, are we giving people what they need to get to where they say they want to go? And I love that, really, by showing people, by having them take courageous action, you empower people to become the hero of their life. And then that's actually scalable, that's sustainable, because again, they become the hero of their life in whatever phase of their journey they're in. Okay. So I'm curious, what's next, in your journey with Area 51, or just along your coaching journey? Yeah. What would you like to see happen that could really help our beautiful game even grow even more, and we can bless more people with these beautiful life lessons that are built inherently in our game?
I think, I think for football in Canada, we're at a very interesting junction. We're, football seeing growth for the first time in a very long time, but it's in different avenues, not in, it's funny, because if you look at certain pockets of the country, not unlike where I live right now, we're actually seeing kind of a downtick in high school football, but an uptick in community football, in things like flag, 7-on-7, so on and so forth. So there's some really good trends happening in football that could move the needle, as the next few years come along. What I hope is that trend continues in a popularity push through the CJFL, through U Sports, and into the CFL. Because the game that we play in this country is awesome. And there's not enough people that realize that yet. I think we're on a cusp of potentially seeing a big wave of new movement with the youth that play this game, because if you look at where the growth trend is in a lot of tackle football in Canada, it's not at the U16, U18 level. Right now it's at U10, U12, U14, which really excites me, because that's a whole new wave of football people, football fans, football parents that all of a sudden get introduced to this game called Canadian football. They then look for opportunities to gain more knowledge, more interest and excitement by attending more Canadian football events, which, that is the CJFL. Very affordable to get a family out to watch a local event. Do we have enough teams across this country? No. U Sports, again, another very affordable family outing. The football, I'm a little biased because I played it. My son is about to play it. And here's, it's funny because I talked to Chavez a lot about the differences between the NFL athlete and the CFL athlete, especially from a Canadian standpoint. We're at a position right now in Canada where there are more Canadian kids playing in the NCAA than ever before. The level of football that is being played at the U Sports level right now is unbelievable. These guys are amazing athletes, amazing people, amazing students, and they don't get enough credit for it. And then I had the fortunate ability to bounce around the CFL for 5 years as a player. I saw athletes, Canadian athletes, that were just as good as the American counterparts. Just as good or better. And they don't get enough notoriety. We need to start tooting our own horn. And I will stand on top of that mountain and preach it till the day I die.
Well, it's interesting. And again, I love how life is full circle, right? Again, hearing you share that was just, it's time that we start celebrating what's uniquely us, what makes our game different, what makes it beautiful, and we need to support it at all levels, because the more people we have coming into our game, tackle, flag, women, men, at any age group, then we can bless more people with these amazing life lessons that we've both been fortunate to have come into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, I know that this conversation has been absolutely fascinating to me. I'm curious if anyone has, wants to learn more about Area 51 sports and just kind of, what you have to offer, and their interest has really been piqued. What's the best way people can learn more, follow you? Yeah, I'd love to know.
So the best ways to kind of learn and see what we're all about is through our social channels. A quick Instagram or Twitter search on Area 51 gets you to our pages, and allows you to follow us real fast. We talked about our growth trend and how things have been going very fast. Our website, unfortunately, hasn't kept up with our growth. We're like I said, like we talk about, we're three guys going out and hitting the pavement every day. The website isn't always at the forefront of our minds, but it is area51sports.ca. If you want to go around, take a tour, and then connect with us via email. Our email is on our website. You can DM us in our social channels. We definitely post more socially than we do to our website. But that's where everybody lives these days. And we're putting out some really cool things these days. Like we just branded our own couple of items of equipment. So you'll now find Area 51 Sports is now the driver of ATEC equipment. And so we've got our own ATEC helmet cover, which is that funky looking space age thing that goes over the football helmet to decrease head trauma in practice. We are just about to launch our brand new first Canadian composite football branded item. So we've developed and created our own composite football just for the Canadian marketplace. We call it the Rouge. And then we've also developed the first truly branded to women's football composite football called the Breakthrough. And then on the apparel side, we're just about to launch our 5-1 brand of lifestyle brand apparel. And so we've got a lot of things going on. Stay tuned to our social channels. You'll be able to see it all once it goes mainstream.
Absolutely. And I'll be happy to share all of those different ways people can follow and connect and see kind of all the fun, exciting things that Area 51 Sports is up to. Jim, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for the great man you are, right? The great dad, the great life partner, great teacher, coach, mentor, but more importantly, the amazing human being you are. I found from this conversation that what I really got from this was the reminder that to win at the game of life, you got to focus on helping and serving the hearts of others. And I just love the simplicity of it. And I just that reminder is that's how you create win-win-wins in life. So I just want to thank you for blessing me with some of your time and providing me with that simple reminder.
Well, I definitely appreciate you having me on, JT. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all good. So folks, Jim dropped so many valuable nuggets of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. But as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, knowledge is potential power. It's a consistent and focused application of great knowledge that actually creates great results. So my challenge to you is to take one of these valuable nuggets of wisdom and go apply it to your life today. And as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, you are deserving of greatness. You are worthy of greatness. You are greatness. And my only ask from these conversations is, if it resonated with you, if it touched your heart, then please share it with a friend, a loved one, a teammate, or just someone you feel that would benefit from hearing these simple, positive, and empowering ideas. As always, I love having these conversations with you. Have a blessed rest of your day, and we will connect next time in the huddle. Have a blessed rest of your day, everyone.